Hey, I wanted to share something that's been on my heart for the last few days. For those of you who may not know my story, in March of this year, I was diagnosed with latent autoimmune diabetes in an adult, or type 1.5 diabetes. In April, I had a heart attack at the age of 33 and ended up needing open heart surgery for 4 bypasses. And just a couple weeks ago, I had to have my gallbladder removed and was hospitalized after that for nausea and vomiting that would not stop. And in the course of the tests and imaging that they did, actually found that I have a mass in my abdomen. And so the next step for me is meeting with an oncologist. We're talking about surgery and possibly radiation. I'm trying to find out if this mass is cancer or just a fatty tumor. While I was in the hospital, there was this night where I just was driven to despair. I looked down at my body and I saw the weight that I had lost. I lost like 12 pounds over the course of 5 days. I could just see where the muscles in my arms and legs had wasted away. My nurse that night, it had been a few nights since she had taken care of me, and she really had noticed that I was losing weight and really that this dehydration, not eating or drinking, had really taken its toll on me. In my despair, I just had this thought of, is this the end? Like, is this the end for me? And I sat with that thought, all night long. I just slept so restlessly from the anxiety of this thought. And I think back to that night of sitting alone, and I have to wonder how many of you are sitting alone with the enemy in the dark. Because that's exactly where he wants you to be. It's exactly where he wanted me to be. He wanted me to be alone in the dark. Not just spiritually, but physically. I was alone in the dark in this hospital room, wondering, is this it? Is this the last year of my life? Is this how things are going to be? This morning, I heard the statistics of the number of people who are Christ followers but haven't attended church in 4 months. And when I hear that number, it breaks my heart because I know that means there are so many people who are sitting alone in the dark with our enemy. Because it doesn't feel safe to go to church right now. It doesn't feel safe to be around other people. We have been instructed to practice social distancing, to kind of quarantine ourselves at home to maintain safety and health. But social distancing doesn't have to mean that you're isolated, because isolation is a really dangerous place to be. Because when we're alone, like I was alone sitting in the dark, the enemy has our ear. Satan has our ear. He can tell us any lie that he wants, and we'll believe it because we're vulnerable, because we're alone in these dark spaces, both physically and spiritually. We don't have anybody there who can speak truth into us, who can help us use the authority that we have to say, no, I will not listen to these lies anymore. You will not have any space in my ear. You will not have any space in my mind. Friday night, my church had a night of worship. And I just had this really powerful moment at the altar singing the song, "This Is How I Fight My Battles." And I just wept before the Lord. And then as the song ended, my pastor pulled me up on stage and he asked the whole congregation to sing over me, "This is how we fight your battle." And I had hands laid on me, and I looked out into this crowd of people and saw all their hands to heaven. And I heard their words, "This is how we fight your battle." And God just said, "See, look, this is your army. You are not alone." And through the course of the night, I had several people share words with me that God was with me, that I was not alone. But I wonder how many of you are in that place right now where you are feeling alone. You haven't been able to connect with your faith community. You haven't been able to hear truth. And so I just want to encourage you, don't sit alone with the enemy in the dark. Catch a church service online. Talk to a friend. Ask for prayer. Somebody who you know is going to be able to stand in the battle with you, who's going to be able to speak truth, who's going to wield the sword of the Spirit, who's going to put on the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, and fight beside you. Don't sit alone with the enemy in the dark.